Welcome back to Dave D's Random Watch. Last time we tried drawing something and we ended up drawing the Joker. My daughter drew the Joker, except the thing is she's too young to watch that movie. So, like I said, what I did was I have two separates now. This is one for everybody and then the one for just me or any adult that can handle some dark stuff. So I ended up choosing Due Date, which coincidentally is the same director as the Joker. Due Date is Todd Phillips' follow-up to The Hangover, and in The Hangover is one of those raunchy dark comedies that kind of has it's one of those that you laugh at and you feel guilty for laughing at it. You're like, oh, I just gotta wash this up, which is kind of how you feel after you watch the Joker. It's just different. The movie stars Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. Galifianakis followed him from The Hangover, so this kind of nixes this being the same universe, but oh, whatever. It's a road trip movie. Peter Hyman, played by Robert Downey Jr., is on his business trip and he's going to be on his way home to be with his wife before they have their first child. Of course, along the way, Peter Hyman gets mixed up with Galifianakis' character, Ethan Tremblay, and from the first meeting things get fouled up and mixed up and Peter ends up missing his plane flight. Of course, they end up teaming up together to get back to California, and so begins the chaotic road trip of a movie full of laughs and no really just some laughs. And so it's the follow-up to The Hangover, and it's, like I said, it's pretty raunchy and nasty, and the humor is just sometimes over the top, but I guess since I laugh at it, the movie did its job. And there's some things in it that I liked, and there's some things that I didn't like, but the stuff that I didn't like doesn't stop the enjoyment of the movie. It was nice to see Robert Downey Jr. in a movie that he's not playing Tony Stark again, because for a while he's kind of been locked in on those contracts for those movies. Zach Galifianakis, unfortunately, most of the stuff that I have seen him in lately, he's always playing the same character. Earlier career, I've seen him pop up, I think, not playing this kind of character that he plays, but it's just the nature of the beast. This movie actually has the same vibes as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which starred John Candy and Steve Martin. I would actually say the Steve Martin character and the Robert Downey Jr. character are on the same page. They're like the same type of wound up, uptight person. The difference now is with the Zach Galifianakis character and the John Candy character. Galifianakis' character is he's just a person you wouldn't want to hang out with. There's some disturbing things that he does. He's, doing his drugs, being high or drunk, whatever. Whereas Del Preston's character, the John Candy character that he played in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, he was just a socially awkward guy who didn't know how to handle people and just was an over talker, and circumstances led to situations in that movie. Both are the same movie. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, even though for that one scene is very family friendly, and you can easily bypass that one scene that I'm talking about from that movie, and it's a perfect road trip family film. Whereas this one is something you watch with your buddies. It's like a frat house movie. That's what Due Date is. It's more of a frat house road trip movie with the raunchy jokes that they put in it. So I would recommend it to those that like that kind of stuff. Clearly, it's in my collection, so I guess there's a part of me that does like it. But I'd probably rate it 3 stars out of 4 in terms of its entertainment value. Now, I don't know if you want to consider this a spoiler or not, but I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie had Danny McBride in it, and they're at like a get cash kind of place, and the whole circumstances were the Ethan Tremblay used that name to get a cash advance, but when he gives him his ID, it's Ethan something or other, and Ethan Tremblay is his stage name. And of course now Robert Downey Jr. and Tremblay they begin arguing with Danny McBride's character, who then they threaten, and then of course as he's sitting upward, he just goes down, and then he wheelchairs himself out, and then he ends up beating the crap out of the two characters. It's very, it's funny. I laughed, and there's a couple other scenes in there that were funny with the, I should know better. If he's carrying around the coffee container with his dad's ashes, I should have thought for a minute that for sure that he, that would come into play later. But, that stuff, it goes over my head. And of course, we got that one scene where, I ran out of coffee, so we used the one that you had. Oh, so those were really the father's ashes they just brewed in the coffee pot. Very, very. That's kind of where you're like, I'm gonna wash up now. I shouldn't have really laughed at that. It's gross. So, Due Date, 3 stars out of 4. It's funny, you laugh, but you might want to take a shower afterwards. Until next time, this is Dave D's Random Watch.